Let us start with a prayer. The prayer is meant to plant good intentions. To organize the mind, detach it from worldly preoccupations. So anything auspicious, we begin with a prayer. Here is a prayer to the Guru. Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dundvadidam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Egam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhudam Bhavaditam Trigunarahidam Satgurum Tam Namah Satgurum. So the yoga practitioners worship their guru, the yoga teacher, instructor. Worship means follow the instructor's instructions. That's the meaning of worship. The Guru is an ocean of happiness. He is beyond the limitations of time, space, and the play of gunas. The Guru has mastered her mind. And such a Guru, we meditate. The highest ideal of a human being. You can meditate on your respective gurus or the Adi Guru or Adi Yogi, who is free from all kleshas. We meditate on that ideal because this Guru has no body. This Guru has no mind. This Guru is the source of everything. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now open your eyes. So last time we talked about three types of people, three Purushas. People may not be the right word, three Purushas. One is the Bhogi, a consumerist, whose lifestyle leads him or her to become a rogi, a patient, or a sick person, the sick man. S-I-C, not S-I-K-H. S-I-C, the sick person. The Bhogi, his lifestyle, overconsumption, makes him a sick person. And then that leads to make him a drohi. He destroys the planet, the ecosystem. So a bhogi become a rogi and a drohi. That's the kind of lifestyle this person is leading. And we don't want to be there. We don't want to be there. We want to be a yogi. A yogi means, if I use a modern language, conservationist. Who try to conserve things, protect things, maintain sustainability and all that. That's a yogi's lifestyle. Then we also introduce another entity called Ishvara. Ishvara is the source of all values. Ishvara is the source of happiness. Ishvara is the source of wisdom, knowledge. So these are the three entities we were talking about. Ishvara become your role model to lean on when you are down in the dumps. We need an ideal like that. So Patanjali introduced the concept of Ishvara, which was not there in the Sankhya system. That's why we call Patanjali's yoga is Seshwara Sankhya. Sankhya with Ishvara concept. And that's what we discuss. So we all know whether you want to be a bhogi or a yogi, these are the choices. Ishvara is something unique, someone unique. You cannot be an Ishvara according to Patanjali's concept, but you can be a yogi. It's almost like Ishvara. Not just Ishvara, almost like Ishvara. That's the idea which Patanjali. Now today, we shall be discussing one important concept of Patanjali, which is called Kaivalya. So Patanjali has these goals. Yogi has got a goal. What is the goal? Either to attain samadhi. Samadhi means mental equilibrium. You're always in a state of equilibrium. You don't go to the extremes. You don't react. You may respond. You know, that kind of an idea. Samadhi. We have seen that. That's why yogi, when he sits, he is sitting quiet. He is able to focus, or she is able to focus. And she is not influenced by what is happening all around. So that yogi has got a objective perspective about things. That's a yogi. We are like Mahatma Gandhi. So one example which comes to my mind is Gandhi. In the midst of turbulence, he remained calm and he responded appropriately. That's the state of a yogi. And we all are in the midst of problem, the family problem, health issues, social issues, communal issues, financial problem, COVID-19, all kind of problems. So can you remain calm, achobhya, like an ocean? Superficially, there are waves in the ocean, but deep down, it is all calm. So that's the kind of yoga. It needs repetition. You may think, I know all this. Why are you repeating it? We are collectively reflecting on this. All these things, because our behavior, we are like the dog's tail. You can put it in a tube, then after 10 years you take it off again, dog's tail is the same. So we need a daily reminders, like your breakfast, like a bath, like brushing your teeth. You need these daily reminders. Otherwise, you will not be there. You slip down. So, be a yogi. And so Patanjali talks about the yogi's goal, because whenever we do something, we should have a goal. That is what motivates us, which inspires us. So Patanjali has given these three words. One is samadhi. We understood. It's easy to understand. The word samadhi can be practiced also. Then another word Patanjali used is Purusha Ghadi. I am repeating. I talked about before also. Purusha Ghadi, self-knowledge. At this point, we don't have the self-knowledge. We know everything about others, in other communities, other societies, other objects, but we have no clue about ourselves. So like a blind man, you are running around. Isn't it? So this self-knowledge, and there should be a means of knowing this, to go deep into ourselves. That's the means what Patanjali gives. Sit down quietly on the yoga mat, watch your breath, follow your eye experience. All those means, Patanjali has given us the toolkit. Various tools have been given. So the self-knowledge is very, very important. So by practice of yoga, you come to know who you are. And what's your nature according to Patanjali? Nitya, Shuji, Sudha, Atma. We have heard it again and again. Unless you reach there, you should practice yoga. And even if you reach there, you should continue to practice. Don't say, I have reached there, now I can do whatever I want. No, you have to continue to practice that. So, another word Patanjali uses is Purusha Dhyadi or Pratyagatma Avagamam, knowing who we are, what we are. So, with our present intellectual, rational faculties, this knowledge is not possible. See, it requires a different pramana, different way of looking at oneself. At this point, we are looking into the mirror. Whatever reflection is there, we take it as our nature. That's not our nature. Our nature is exactly the opposite. So, you need a different pramana, not pratyaksha or anumana. These pramanas won't help. We need, or objective statistical data will not help you to know who you are. So, that's another word used by Patanjali, Purusha Khyadi. Then, third word used by Patanjali is Drishtuhu Sarube Avasthanam, to abide in yourself. Meaning, feel comfortable with who you are. Abide in yourself. You may be old, you may not be good looking, you may not be that educated. Whatever you are, whatever God has gifted you, you accept it. That's self-acceptance, self-appreciation. Should not make you arrogant, but make you humble. So that kind of a Sarube Drishtuhu Sarube Avasthanam. Drishtu means the observer. That's the meaning of Drishtu. You are observing. Drishtuhu Sarube Avasthanam. So when you sit, you are able to go deep into yourself and abide there. Ustale mana swastada kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchidam Ramana Maharshi. Ustale manaha swastada, to abide in your nature. So these are the three ideals which we can understand. This is not that difficult. What is difficult to understand this idea of Kaivalyam, Kevalada? What does that word mean? How do we understand it? It's a little difficult to understand the idea of Kaivalyam, which Patanjali promotes. There are 5 sutras where this word Kaivalyam comes. So it's a little difficult to understand the idea of Kaivalyam, which I am going to explain. That's why this talk is titled as The Road to Kaivalyam, Transcendental, Inclusive Transcendence. Tough word, isn't it? It's a mouthful word. Inclusive transcendence. That's the idea, not exclusive transcendence. There are 3 kinds of transcendence. Exclusive transcendence, meaning you leave everything as much as possible and go to a little cave. Exclusive transcendence. The other is inclusive transcendence. You accommodate, accept it. More of accept. Don't deny it. Then there is nihilistic transcendence. I'll be coming to all this. 3 types of transcendence are there. One is exclusive transcendence. No, I don't want to meet you. I don't want to talk to you. You're too much for me. I'm stressed out. Don't you say that? I have nothing to do with you. Let me go and sit in the puja room. Your shadow should not fall on me. The moment I see you, my blood pressure goes up. All this kind of problem. Exclusive. You don't want to face problem. You don't want to confront anything. An escapist. Run away from problem. This is called exclusive transcendence. And the philosophical base we will be seeing. And then inclusive. Okay? You irritate me, but I want to be with you. How long you can irritate me? Let me see. Isn't it? So that way, inclusive transcendence means those who irritate you, those who raise your blood pressure, those with whom you feel very upset, you include them so that you can go deeper. You can go deeper. You can understand your own mental challenges. So here is a inclusive transcendence. The other is nihilistic transcendence. Nihilistic transcendence. Nihilistic transcendence means you feel everything is useless. Everything is empty. I'll be coming to that. That's a philosophical basis for that also. So, what exactly this idea of Kaivalya, Kevalasya Bhavam Kaivalya, what does that mean? That's what we are going to discuss today. But before that, let me give you all the sutras, because we are analyzing Patanjali's YOGASUTRAS. How many sutras are there? 195 sutras. How many chapters? 4 chapters. So that's what we are. Because this Patanjali YOGASUTRA is the Bible or Veda of yogis. Those who practice yoga, they must study this scripture, this YOGASUTRAs thoroughly. That's why we are studying this. So there are 5 sutras, and I would like to read all those sutras. Patanjali, one sutra is Avidya Abhavad, Samyoga Abhavaha, Tad Drishehe Kaivalyam. So 2 things he says. One thing, Avidya Bhavad, you must get rid of this self-ignorance. What is self-ignorant? I am a useless person. I am an unhappy person. I can never make it. Isn't it? So your own value, in your eyes you have no value. So that kind of an attitude, unanalyzed attitude. Who told you that? Everybody tells me. Every day morning when I look into the mirror, I feel miserable. Isn't it? So that way, this unanalyzed, unchallenged assumption that you are a miserable person is called avidya. And we all have that problem. And which create fear, insecurity, anxiety, tension, etc. So this avidya bhava, and how does avidya, when avidya goes samyoga bhavaha, then your need to depend upon the world, depend upon the other is reduced. Your value does not depend upon others' perception of you. That is called samyoga bhava. We are all the time associated with something or other, isn't it? At least a cell phone. Without a cell phone, you feel miserable, isn't it? You need something to lean on. So here, you are samyoga bhava. That kind of attachment is not there. And then, when that happens, tada drishehe kaivalyam. The seeker or the yogi enjoy that kaivalyam, kevalasya bhava. He is by herself or himself happily. Happily he is by herself or himself. Isn't it? We always need, sometimes we feel I may become sick, I may become old, I need some help. No, you don't need. You can handle yourself. When you handle yourself, everybody will come to help you, I tell you. When you cannot manage yourself, everybody will run away. Please, that's a law. If you are independent, you can manage yourself. Everybody, all your uncles and relations and friends, everybody will be dancing around you. The moment they feel you are weak, they run away like rats escaping from a sinking ship. So therefore, don't walk that path. You should be all by yourself. Wherever you are, you should be by yourself a solid and disciplined person. That's it. That's what we require. So therefore, Patanjali says, samyoga bhava. Don't seek security in the other. Whether it is money or power or relations, don't seek security. You should feel secure all by yourself. That's very, very important. These are all little tips for leading a happy and healthy life. Simple tips. So, Sattva-purushayoho anyada bhadi matrasya. So he says, avidya abhava samyoga abhava tad drishehe kaivalyam. Then you are able to live by yourself. Your needs are reduced. You are able to handle your daily, going to the toilet or the bathroom or cooking or washing and cleaning. You must be, and a little bit of driving, all this you should know how to. Don't depend upon the other. I know the difficulty. I depend upon the other for driving and cooking. I know the difficulty. So therefore, let's not do that. Let us be independent. If somebody is doing for you, that is fine. But if nobody there, you are ready to manage your life. That should be your idea. So Kaivalyam. Then, of course, it has got some philosophical meaning also. Kaivalyam. That I'll be discussing later. The philosophical meaning is, since you understand yourself to be the pure spirit, which is immortal, that spirit is, at this point, is caught up in the web of the world, Trigunas, Panchabhutas. And you feel like a bird in a trapped bird. So you have to escape from that, get out of that. That is one way of understanding Kaivalya. I don't want to do anything with the world. I don't want anything with my desires. I don't want to do anything with my body. I want to go into the deep processes of my being. Sometimes it gives you, like Shavasana. When you practice Shavasana, that's what you are doing. You lie on your back and rigor mortis experience. You imagine you are dead. Dead to the body, dead to the world, dead to your memories, dead to your identities. Have you ever practiced that? It's a very interesting experience. Just lie on your back. But don't die. I'm saying you should die. Or you pretend you are in deep sleep. Death is a deep sleep anyway. So that way you are able to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and abide in that state. And when you wake up, you feel so fresh. You feel so fresh after you have taken a good bath. So every day you can practice that. Go to a deeper level. Lie on your back. So that is what Patanjali says, Kaivalyam. Of course, we have to understand in its various dimensions, which I will be coming later. Another sutra says, Sattva-purushayoho anyada khadi matrasya. When you are able to distinguish between the Sattva and Purusha, Sattva means the mind and consciousness. Some people mistake mind for consciousness. Patanjali doesn't approve of that. For Patanjali, mind, brain and consciousness, they are different entities. You cannot reduce any of them into any of them. You cannot reduce mind to the brain. You cannot reduce consciousness to the mind. They are different entities. And you are a combination of all this. The brain means the body also. So mind is separate from the brain. Of course, certain brain processes invoke the mind. For example, when you experience love for your grandchild, let us say, it's a mental experience. My love for my grandchild. But if you take a fMRI of the brain, the certain areas of the brain is lighted up and blood rushes to that area, but that does not give you an idea of what love is. Isn't it? Brain processes, of course, is there, concomitant with this experience. So from there, the rishis have understood that mind is different from the brain. Brain can invoke the mind. And consciousness is different from the mind also. Because you are conscious of the mind, your emotion, love, hate, etc. Isn't it? So the yogi's worldview, consciousness, mind and brain are different entities. You cannot deconstruct them into a fundamental entities. Like, some people reduce everything into the brain. Everything is brain process. Some people reduce everything into the mind. Some people reduce everything into the conscious. If at all you want to reduce everything into consciousness, I'd be with you. That may be a better way of doing things. So he says, Sattva-purushayo anyadaghadi matrasya. If you are able to distinguish consciousness from the sattva, the mind, by a process of continuous watching and detaching, you gain access to sarva bhava adhishtatutvam. You become the foundation of everything. You understand yourself. Everything is floating about in me, in my consciousness. You see, thoughts, experiences, everything is floating in consciousness, isn't it? Without consciousness, you cannot experience anything. That you understand. And not only that, sarva jnadrutvam cha. And you gain the benefit of all kind of knowledge, because the benefit of all knowledge is happiness, isn't it? So that you gain. And hence, sarva jnadrutvam cha. So then, tadu vairagyadabi. But that happiness or consciousness that you experience, that itself is to be watched, you see. That itself is to be watched. That is a difficult thing. Up to that I understand. So there also, because still you are playing with the shadow. Therefore, watch that also. Because that is an experience that you gain. Therefore, you have to watch that. Then you can abide. So, tad vairagyadabi dosha bijakshaye kaivalyam. Then you gain oneness. You are abiding. From there, you cannot be displaced. From everything else, you can be displaced. Here, you gain a state where you cannot be displaced. You are abiding. You are rooted. So think of that. Think of that. Then another place. Patanjali says, Sattva Purushayo Shuddhi Samye Kaivalyam. There is another sutra where you find the word Kaivalyam, Kevalada. Because when the mind becomes as pure as the self, then you can take this quantum leap. You get an idea of who you are. Then, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavaha. This is a very difficult sutra to understand. Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam. When you don't expect anything from the world, that is called Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam. You are not expecting anything. Mainly what you expect is happiness and security and identity. When you don't seek this, the world, then the world folds up. World no more dances in front of you. World no more exciting. The world is no more an object of desiring, conquering, and aggrandizing. You are not conquering the world. You dance with the world. Can you conceive that state? That when you no more desire the world, desire means you want to conquer, possess. When you don't want to possess your wife, let us say, then the wife will be happy with you, you will be happy with your wife, you can dance. Otherwise he will say, no, I am busy. I have what I take. Isn't it? So, when you don't want to possess something, and in that space of freedom, mutual freedom, there is better relationship, he says. So, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam. You no more seek anything from the world. You no more seek happiness from the world. Then the world is no more the other for you. World is no more an object of conquest and manipulation and exploitation. Then you can dance with the world. Then the world is totally different. You have integrated everything into your consciousness and system. You have to think about that. So, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavaha. So, And then that means Kaivalyam again. Patanjali says that is a state of Kaivalyam. Swarupa Pradishtava Chittihi Chitti Shaktehe Di. And then your chitta means the mind, abides in the self. So with that understanding, the mind can relate with the world. So these are the 5 sutras where the word Kaivalyam comes. So we are trying to explore, try to understand what exactly Patanjali means. And it should be our experience also. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. So what are the 3 ways that we can understand the word Kaivalyam? That's what we are going to do. I hope you are interested in knowing that. I hope it's not too much for you. Because you are going to a very deep level of consciousness. It's not just thinking about it, but feeling and being it. That's the most important thing. So let us understand the word Kaivalya. Literally means, Kaivalya means aloneness. Have you understood the difference between aloneness and loneliness? Aloneness means you are comfortable by yourself. You don't need a crowd around you. Wherever you are, maybe in the puja room, maybe in the kitchen, maybe in your apartment, you are alone. Aloneness. Whereas loneliness means you are fighting with yourself. You are not comfortable with yourself. That is called lonely. I feel lonely. I need a few people around me. I need something to excite me, to distract me. So when you enjoy your aloneness, then you are alone, Kaivalya. When you don't, you need a company, then there is struggle and conflict. So loneliness and aloneness, they're totally different concepts. So this word Kaivalya is to be understood. We have to deeply reflect on that. What is the word Kaivalya? The one understanding is separation from Prakriti. Prakriti means mind and the world. So this is the Sankhyan concept of Kaivalya. That I want to be away from the world. I want to away from the mind and desires. And I want to go into the cave or the heart or whatever you may say. So it's a total exclusion. I want to be away. So Prakriti is a kind of a prison for me. I am not comfortable with this Prakriti. Prakriti means mind and the world. So I don't want to do anything with that. I want to be away. This concept, so Prakriti is taken as a prison or a trap. Sometimes we feel that, isn't it? Everything is a trap. Marriage is a trap. Children are traps. Isn't it? I started a business, that has become a trap. I entered into politics, that has become a trap. I never became the Prime Minister. So whatever we do, we feel it's a trap for us. I bought a car, now it has become a trap for me. I bought a computer, it's a trap for me. Isn't it? All the time I am on the computer. All the time I am driving the car. Or somebody is asking for a lift. Isn't it? And petrol prices are going up. Therefore, it is a trap. So we feel all these are traps. I want to be away from it. I don't want to do anything. My children, my grandchildren, I want to be away from. I want to be away from my body also. And I don't want these memories constantly like bugging me. I want to be away from all this. This is one idea of Kaivalya. I would call him an escapist. He doesn't want to confront things. And in escapism, you get a superficial quietude, but not a deep quietude. You are afraid of everybody. So the Sankhyan idea of a Kaivalya is not appreciated by a true yogi. That's one idea. And then this also, the spiritual tradition, there is something called prayobhavesham. Prayobhavesham means voluntarily choosing death. That comes from this idea. Voluntarily choosing death. Life is a difficult journey. I am trying to get away from it. I want to do something for the world and then I want to quit. It's a prayobhavesham. It's a very interesting ideal, prayobhavesham. When things are not going well with you, then you just want to quit. How do you do that? Fasting. Fasting. Bhishma died by fasting. Vinoba Bhave died by fasting. Fasting is a very interesting concept. Suppose we are perennially sick, or you lost all your money, or health issues, or other issues, then haven't you thought of ending your life sometime? We all have thought of that. So prayobhavesham. The idea is that there is some area where I can be free from all these problems. And some of our saints also did that. Shankara, having done his mission in the world, walked up to the Himalayas, to the caves of the Kedarnath, he disappeared. Or Samartha Ramadas of Dasbodh, he also disappeared into a cave. Samartha Ramadas says he fasted to death. And Vinoba Bhave, at the age of 84, Bhishma, on the bed of arrows, fasted to death. Rama walked into the water. Tukaram and Raghunath walked in the water. Or Jnaneshwar, at the age of 17, he went into a cave and asked his disciples to close the mouth of the cave. So this voluntary death seems to be a way out of the problems of the world. Voluntary death. Kind of euthanasia, the modern word is that. Voluntary death. So the idea is that there is a way of escaping from the world. The world is a challenge. I want to escape from the world. So yogi also, in a classical yogi, is one who sits in a cave, cross-legged, and close your eyes and stop your his breath, or very, do pranayama, and then go into the death state. So he has nothing to do with the world. That's a classical yogi. But our modern understanding is that is escapism. I have seen a lot of people in the Himalayas, sitting in a cave, doing nothing, eating nothing, very few. Sometimes they eat, most of the time they don't. And slowly they fade away, they dry up and fade away. That's one way of understanding, the Sankhyan way of understanding Kaivalya. I don't appreciate that, nor do I recommend you that. If some of you are interested, you can do that. An experiment. But that's not what Patanjali means. I don't think you also are inspired by that ideal, isn't it? But I am giving you, there is one way of understanding the word Kaivalya, and all the people have followed that path of that way of understanding Kaivalya. Another, so in this, the world is seen as a prison or a trap. And I want to escape as early as possible. I want to escape from this and become immortal or whatever. The other idea of Kaivalya is the Buddhist idea. The Buddhist idea of Kaivalya is that the self that you are is an empty self. There's nothing in that self. Like a fabric. Fabric is woven out of thread, isn't it? There's nothing called fabric. If you take the thread, then it's only a bundle of threads. There is no fabric. It's a beautiful fabric, colorful fabric. I can cover myself with it and all that. But if you remove the thread, like in crochet, I find you can create a beautiful item, but you can remove the thread and everything is gone. So this self that you are talking about, which is very important, is empty. It's just has no existence at all. It is non-existent when you really analyze it. That's one idea. And when the self is non-existent, the world also becomes non-existent. So it's something like a camphor and fire. The fire disintegrates the camphor. There is no camphor. And then the fire also disappears. So both the fire and the camphor has gone. Isn't it? Or like that they say, the clod of clay and the dry leaf went to Kashi. On the way, there was a huge rain. And the dry leaves stood on the clay, protected the clay. Then after some time, there was a huge storm. And the clod of clay stood on the dry leaf and protected the leaf from being blown away. Then both the rain and the storm came. The clay dissolved and the dry leaf was blown away, isn't it? So according to this theory, the Buddhist theory, you don't exist if you really analyze it. Can you accept that? This we call the nihilistic understanding of Kaivalya. There is only simple emptiness. That's all what remains. The show is over. Everything is finished. Simple, empty. This is a nihilistic way. That also a lot of people are following this idea of Kaivalya. And all the Buddhists, especially Theravada Buddhists and the Mahayana Buddhists, they all follow this idea of momentariness and emptiness and all that. We are not happy with this. Actually, I am not happy with this idea. Then what is your idea of oneness? When you say oneness, what is your idea? My idea of the oneness is the Vedantic idea. The first one was the Sankhyan idea. The second is the Buddhist idea. So our idea of oneness is the Vedantic. What is the Vedantic idea? The Vedantic idea is that everything is floating in consciousness. Your consciousness, my consciousness are the same. And whatever floats in consciousness, they are temporary, they are momentary. And this momentary world, the mind and the world, is nothing but an expression of that consciousness. And that consciousness I am. Isn't it? So this world and the mind is mithya. Mithya means that it appears and disappears, momentary. So you are not dismissing the world. You are only understanding the world as something which appears and disappears, which is a construct. So Vedantis don't dismiss the world. Vedantis accept the world and enjoy the world without getting trapped in the world. Like you watch a movie. I have already told you that. So therefore, for the Vedantin, it's playful. It's a playful state of mind. He's not shunning the world. Even if he's sick, he enjoys the sickness and deal with that. Old age, he enjoys and deals with that. Separation, he enjoys and deals with that. Everything is an opportunity to explore and express his own potential or her own potential. So that way, the Vedanta has got a better positive understanding of the world. The other two philosophies are a negative, nihilistic or escapist understanding of the world. Now I place all the three in front of you. You can choose according to your energy level, let me say that. You can choose any of these. And all of them have some element of truth in it. But ultimately, it's a Vedantic concept of the world and the mind. They are not totally non-existent, but they appear and disappear. And the example given is like water and the wave. In the other cases, I give you the example of the bird and the trap. The bird feels trapped in the net. And the bird wants to get out of that. That will lead to escapism. And you hate the world. You torture the body. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to feel for it. Everything is a burden. That the example there is the bird and the trap, or the prisoner and the jail. Prisoner want to get out of the jail. The second example is the camphor and the fire. The fire burns the camphor. And the camphor disappears, fire also disappears. Isn't it? There's nothing. And the third example is water and the wave. What is the relation between water and the wave? I'm giving an example to understand this relation with the consciousness and the world and the mind. What is the relationship with the water and the wave? Can you take away water from the wave from the water? No. Does wave add anything to the water? No. Does wave take anything away from the water? No. Does the water feel the weight of the wave? No. Then what is this wave? Other than the water. We call it wave is mithya. Wave is only an appearance in water. Similarly, we understand the world is only an appearance in consciousness. It appears and disappears. Therefore, enjoy it. But be detached. Isn't it? So therefore, according to this idea, you don't have to run away from the world. You don't have to hate yourself, your body, or your thoughts. But these are all for my enjoyment, to play with. So Vedantin become a playful person. Playful, relaxed, playful. Enjoy the world. So that's the third idea, I would say, which is agreeable to us. Now, having understood the idea of what Kaivalya means, so Kaivalya means oneness, inclusive transcendence. So it includes, the transcendence includes the world and the mind. Yes, understanding that the mind and the world is an appearance, right? Whereas the other is exclusive transcendence, isn't it? You want to exclude everything. And the Buddhist idea is nihilistic transcendence. Everything disappears. So the Buddhist and the Sankhyan idea of Kaivalya is not acceptable to us. We accept the Vedantic idea of Kaivalya. I hope you are with me. I hope you are with me. This is a very, very, very interesting, very relevant topic in understanding Kaivalya. It's a Vedantic interpretation of Kaivalya. So that is very beautifully said by Shankara, Satya and Mithya. Shankara has written a commentary on YOGASUTRAS. Satya and Mithya. What is true and what is an appearance? The true is consciousness. Appearance is the thoughts and the world. So enjoy it, be detached, and enjoy the world. Enjoy the theatre of the mind as well as the theatre of the world. Jagatrayam sambhava nartana sthali nadadi rajotra parashiva swayam sabha nada ranga idi vyavasthidihi sarubada shakti udat prayuktada. That sloka says, you, the Shiva, he creates a arena for him to dance, and creates his own audience also. He creates the audience, he creates the arena, and then he dances and enjoys. Similarly, the world is a dancing ground for us, not a burial ground. That's a dancing ground. Others are all spectators. You are the dancer. With that idea, you can enjoy the world and at the same time detach from the world. So that's why my mantra is detach and enjoy. Renounce and rejoice. Renounce and rejoice. Detach and enjoy. If you attach, you will not be able to enjoy. If you don't renounce, you cannot rejoice. That's what the idea of Patanjali talks about. So, one has to understand the world. The world is not your enemy. World is your friend. World is an opportunity for you to explore and express yourself. Relationship, however difficult it is, whatever projects you take, these are all opportunities for you to explore and express your potential. And there is no limit. Even the way you die, leave this body, is an opportunity for you. Of course, one day you have to leave this body. Even that is an opportunity for you. So death also becomes an opportunity to enjoy. This body you have to give up one day. Like a car, it will become old and decrepit, you have to give it up. That also can be done happily rather than miserably. So for this, Patanjali, so again, Patanjali has, the sutras give you 2-3 methods. One is the Vidarka method, we have said Vidarka, Vichara, Asmida, Ananda, etc. That method leading to Nirbija Samadhi. Then he also gives the Ashtanga Yoga, which that will be my last talk, Ashtanga Yoga. People must be thinking, Swami has never talked about Ashtanga Yoga so far. Because whenever you think of Patanjali or yoga, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyanam, samadhi, that's what comes to your mind. I have never mentioned it. That will be the last talk. That will be last talk. So the best is yet coming. So the Patanjali also talks about the second chapter. He talks about Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga is very popular. The Paramamsa Yogananda, Kriyananda, Kriya Yoga. So what is Kriya Yoga? Kriya Yoga also is a method to attain this Kaivalya. What is Kriya Yoga? Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga essentially is tapas. Tapas is observance of mauna, silence, and fasting periodically. So fasting and silence. When you fast and observe silence and swadhyayam is observing yourself. What happens to your body? What happens to your mind? What happens to your ego? What happens to your memories? When you fast and observe silence. That 10 days of fasting and observing silence. Everybody goes to that. It's a 10 days retreat where you don't eat much, you fast, or whatever you eat, you'll be eating something different. If you are a wheat person, then you start eating rice. If you eat rice, you have to just eat only fruits. So this way, Kriya Yoga essentially means tapas. Tapas means observing silence and fasting. Do it periodically. And whenever problems are too much problem, what you have to do is observe silence for a day or fast that day and observe yourself. Maybe you can do some pranayama and some mantra chanting. You can do that. Occasionally you can sit. So Kriya Yoga, the beginning is tapas. So that you can create your own energy, inner energy, when you do tapas. So basically tapas means fasting and observing silence. So Kriya Yoga. So tapas swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means observing yourself. Ishvara pranidhanani. There also Ishvara pranidhanam comes. So you surrender yourself to that higher power. So follow these 3 disciplines and then Kriya Yoga. As a result of following this, and in our tradition, Indian tradition, fasting is all tradition. Muslims fast for 40 days. Of course, they eat at night. That's not real fasting. Real fasting is eat moderately, don't eat daytime. Eat only once in a day and for 40 days fasting and reflecting. Christianity also, Buddhism, Hinduism, all religions. Even secular people, they also, if you want to have a fit body, don't you fast? on fruit. I am on fruit these days. I am on vegan. I am a vegan. We all do that for your own health benefit. So, tapaswadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani kriya yoga. Samadhi bhavanartha klesha tanukaranartha cha. So, as a result of this, tapas and silence, periodically practice that, you will be able to klesha tanukaranam. You are able to roll back. You have moved away from yourself by avidya, smita, ragadosha, etc. You can roll back. You can walk backward, back inward. Because gone into the precipice, next step will be falling into the abyss, isn't it? So you have to go back, back up, go back. So that can be done by this tapaswadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani. And they pratiprasavaha. So there are 3 techniques given by Patanjali to reach the state of Kaivalya. One is, so he identifies certain problems also. The problem of ignorance is, avidya is lust, kama, krodha, lobha. That's our problem. Kama means greed. You are never happy. You need more and more and more and more and more, while you are getting less and less and less. Isn't it? Kama. Krodha, when you don't get it, you are angry. So why are you angry? Because you didn't get what you wanted. Why are you wanting that? Because I am unhappy. So kama, krodha, lobha, greed. If you get what you want, you need more of that. If you don't get it, you are angry with that. Isn't it? We all are angry. But no rhyme or reason. So kama, krodha, lobha, these are the 3 problems. And Patanjali gives some new techniques. One technique is called Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Pratipaksha means something you are obsessed with. I want to do that. I want to get it. Otherwise, I am unhappy. So when this ignorance manifests as a behavior in the outer world, when you start behaving accordingly, greedily, Pratipaksha Bhavanam, tell yourself, I won't do it. I am not going to do that. Restrain yourself. Think of the consequence. Restrain yourself. So there will be physically you have to restrain. I will not be angry. I will not be greedy. I will not be lusty. Because this becomes a pathology. Pathology means you start behaving like that. Then you have to introduce Pratipaksha, antidotal behavior. I will not do that. I am angry, I want to shout at you, but I decide to give you a flower. Why not? Why not? I am angry with you. I want to break your neck or your knee, but instead I am giving you a flower, a chocolate, or a smile. So it's very difficult. Because when you are angry, you want to express that anger, isn't it? Instead of that, restrain yourself. This is called Pratipaksha Bhavanam. You think, you act differently. Of course, the thought is there, anger is inside, but you are not behaving accordingly, so that you don't land up in the prison. Isn't it? So this is called Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Think of the consequences. And then restrain yourself. Don't do. Anger is there. You want to spit on his face. And it's almost you, but you take it and swallow yourself. Take it. And spit has got a lot of spermidine, a lot of components in the spit which can create new cells in you. I told you that. So if you conserve it, it is healthier for you. It's just spitting all the time. So conserve. So this is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. I want to smack you, but I hold myself. I do this mudra. That's what I do. So physical, deliberate holding yourself, disciplining yourself. It's called Pratipaksha Bhavana. And the other is But still inside there is problem, isn't it? Inside it is there. You may control in the office, but when you go home, you kick your dog and cat. Or punch the pillows. So what will I do with that? Patanjali says, Dhyanam. Dhyanam. Dhyana heyaha tadvrittayaha. So observe, meditate. Meditate on your anger. Observe your anger. Then it will subside. That's all what you have to do. So observe your anger. But the problem is, when anger comes, you don't observe, you just react. Observe, take a breath maybe. So observe. When it is suchmaha, when it's a mental problem, observe it. When it has come to physical action, deliberately stop. Deliberately stop. So Pratipaksha Bhavana and Dhyanam. And still, as you have seen, there are certain unconscious impulses and all that, which is called vasanas. How do I deal with that? How do I deal with that? Patanjali says, Pratiprasavam. Pratiprasavam. So, te pratiprasava heyaha sushmaha. That is subtle. Very subtle. So, in spite of all our effort, chanting and disciplining and fasting and all that, we have seen when we are pressed beyond a point, we are going to react. So, how do I deal with that? Patanjali says you have to pratiprasam, go back into your past. As a child, you are processing information in a state of ignorance. As a teenager, you are processing information in a state of ignorance. Now you have to revisit all those experiences with this new understanding. That's called regression. You go back into. What happened when you are a 2-year-old child? Meditate on that. Try to recollect. I always tell this story. As a 3-year child, your uncle used to pinch you. Sometimes, in India, that practice is there. You pinch the children, and when the children, and I got a vicarious satisfaction, and the child is crying. Isn't it? Or your father was very stern, father very, very aggressive and stern, and he won't allow you to even to breathe. In India, all these things happen. Very, very disciplinarian parents or teachers coming with a stick. So, and when such experience you processed in a different way. He is my enemy, my parents are my enemy, my teacher is my enemy. Isn't it? My uncle is my enemy. And therefore, thereafter, whenever you see, when you are in such situation, you react. Though you are a 80-year-old man and you say, I am like this because of my parents. So you have to reassess all those experiences, reprocess all those experiences, re-chew all those experiences. Like a cud, like a cow chewing its cud. Take out all those experiences. Go back into your past. It will be a very interesting experience, I tell you. Go back into your past. We want to ignore and other parts, isn't it? But they are there, undigested material. So that Patanjali calls regression. Go back. Cognitive therapy, these days psychologists talk about that. They'll give you a different worldview. They interpret your past experience in a new way. That's all there in Patanjali. Kind of cognitive behavioral therapy. Or reassessing your past experience. Thus, you can reorganize your unconscious. So 3 methods Patanjali gives. Pratiprasavam and Pratipaksha Bhavanam and Dhyanam. These 3 methods, you'll be able to organize yourself and achieve that state of Kaivalya, where you can accommodate everything. Everything is an opportunity for you. You are not running away from anything. The more the merrier for you. You are not an escapist, nor are you a nihilist. You are a playful person. That playfulness, seeing an opportunity in every calamity, as they say. That's the meaning of inclusive transcendence. Not exclusive transcendence or nihilistic transcendence. So now everything has got a message for you. A sunrise, sunset, even an earthquake or COVID. COVID also got a message. A time for you to be alone and then look into yourself. It was an opportunity for us, isn't it? Less consumption. Opportunity. Everything has got a message. Nothing is a problem for you. Everything is a challenge for you, an opportunity. That's the idea of Kaivalya, where you are a master of your own self and your own environment. Now next talk will be, so reflect on this. The idea of Kaivalya, reflect it, and it's a very beautiful idea which Patanjali proposes in the YOGASUTRAS. The next talk will be on rebirth. What is rebirth? The law of causation, the river of memories and rebirth. Memory is an important aspect of your life. That is what gives you identity. When you lose your memory, you lose your identity. Memory has got different levels. Superficial level, deeper level. So what is this thing called memory? The river of memories. And the law of causation. Rebirth. Is rebirth true? Or is just an idea like the flying saucers? What is this? Is rebirth? Do I survive the disintegration of the body? So these ideas we shall be discussing, and the law of causation, river of memories, rebirth, time, sequence, and evolution. All these ideas, Patanjali dwells upon that. We shall be seeing next Saturday. Thank you very much.